Ladies and gentlemen, trouble seems to be mounting for Patanjali and Baba Ramdev. Now, in the latest development, the Supreme Court has now set an ultimatum. The top court has reprimanded the top executives during a hearing on misleading advertisements, including those that disparage modern medicine and medical practitioners. Baba Ramdev and Balkrishna Acharya were wrapped for absolute defiance, while the centre was asked why it chose to keep its eyes shut. Take a look at this report where we put together what has transpired over the last few months and why exactly has Patanjali come under the scanner.
हमने कोरोनिल बना रखी है। इसमें स्वासारी जो है ये फेफड़ों की इम्यूनिटी के लिए, ये जो है कोरोनिल ये पूरी बॉडी की इम्यूनिटी के लिए। तो स्वासारी खाली पेट 2-2 गोली सुबह दोपहर शाम 3 बार।
The Supreme Court of India has come down heavily on Ramdev for violating its directives on misleading advertisements of Patanjali's medicinal products. This even as the Yoga Guru appeared for the first time in the court. The top court has called out Patanjali for absolute defiance of its order while refusing to accept an unconditional apology.
The Patanjali share, which saw a fall in the morning at around 11:30, when the markets had just opened, the share markets had just opened, Patanjali shares fell by about 1.5%, 1.26% to be precise. But the key takeaway from Supreme Court hearing with Patanjali every time is the observations of the court. The court makes it loud and clear to Patanjali that you're a chronic defaulter. You cannot be trusted.
It all escalated after the Supreme Court threatened to impose cost of rupees 1 crore on Patanjali for its continued false advertisements. However, the advertisements from Patanjali continued, something that Patanjali argues was a mistake by its media department. Will Patanjali be able to redeem itself in the next hearing on April 10th? Remains to be seen. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Let me also put this into perspective by getting in my colleague Saqib, who's joining us from the newsroom. Saqib, this comes as a major setback for Patanjali, but there have been, crores of consumers of Patanjali. Just to put this into perspective for our viewers and for those who've been using the product, what does this essentially mean? Because the Supreme Court clearly, wrapping Patanjali on the misleading advertisements. What is it that you've heard from Patanjali? Have they really responded to the allegations that have also been leveled against them?
Well, Shavan, Patanjali, the action against Patanjali and the sort of reaction from Patanjali, the way Patanjali has gone into a defense mechanism mode is a classic case of a tongue-in-cheek sort of communication. Had what has happened to Patanjali and has unfolded at the Supreme Court with regard to Patanjali for the last over 2 to 3 weeks, had any other company, any other firm been at Patanjali's place, the company would have had its spin doctors in place, its battery of public relations and corporate affairs team in place. Here in the case of Patanjali, is a company which has been making claims, contentious claims with regard to allopathy and allopathic medicines and was pulled up by Supreme Court. Now in response, Patanjali last week went to Supreme Court and said and tendered an apology, unconditional apology. However, the question raised by you about how has Patanjali by and large responded to it. I may inform our viewers that we tried to reach out to the Patanjali headquarters in Uttarakhand. Several phone calls made on the Patanjali's landline number went unanswered. Patanjali as a company, the Patanjali Group, does not have a corporate board line where you can reach out to people for their reactions, speak with people. Same goes the case on social media. Patanjali has a widespread presence, interestingly, on social media platforms such as the microblogging website X. There are 5 to 6, half a dozen handles on X which are directly or indirectly associated with Patanjali. So queries sent on these these X handles, calls made to Patanjali have elicited no response. It is not that Patanjali is tight-lipped. somewhere there's bad management of the entire issue from Patanjali on the corporate, on the media front, as well as at the court. Now imagine the Supreme Court, I mean, until and unless Patanjali has an ulterior motive of coming across as holier than the thou, and coming across as a gullible, innocent player who's been targeted, unless that is the case, Patanjali is going terribly wrong with the way it's presenting its case in the court, and lacking clarity. There's a lot of lack of clarity to the consumers, to the investors from Patanjali. So net, a wrong approach from Patanjali at the court has been noticed by the court itself. I mean, to put it in perspective, Patanjali's laxity with regard to not really walking the talk, not really following the court directives, one can really, you can take an estimate of the fact that Patanjali, for the 4th time, has been told to give a final response. April 10th is the date when Patanjali has been told to come up with a final response. The court has said that enough is enough. Now you tell us what exactly is it that you are going to adopt a stand with regard to your advertisements, your claims to cure on chronic illnesses, life-threatening illnesses.
Right.
It's been a bad management from Patanjali with regard to handling of the entire episode. If Patanjali wants to have curtains come down on the contentious issue of false claims, its attack on allopathy, it can once for all shut
right.
close the chapter. But it's going on and on and on. At the markets, Patanjali, as our report just pointed out, Patanjali shares in the morning did see some loss before gaining back again end of the day.
Well, in fact, Republic has also reached out to Patanjali for their response on this story. We'll be taking their response as and when it comes in.